Hello, this is a quick update on the Supportive Inclusive Practices Grant Project. This is a training for anybody that's kind of boots on the ground using Digicoach in classrooms with teachers. I'm Brandon Mahorter, Director of Innovation with Digicoach. Here's my email and contact number. Feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email if you have any questions around the technical use of Digicoach. I'll be happy to help, or if it's around purchasing, I'll connect you with Wes Whitaker, our CFO. If you have questions related to the grant itself or how to use things around funding, different things like that, Kristen Brooks with Santa Clara County will be there to support you. Here is her email and phone number. Or feel free to shoot an email to both of us and we'll do our best to support you. For those of you guys that don't know, the Supporting Inclusive Practices Grant, or the SIP grant, is going to help the state and the special ed division in particular look at what are things that can be done to help support students with disabilities around the least restrictive environments. To learn a little bit more around that, you can visit the Padlet link up top or the bit.ly link there. The bit.ly link will take you right to Santa Clara County's website, which has a little bit more of an overview of the SIP project. The Padlet link there through Kristen has all of the resources that have been made available so far during the project. Timeline for the SIP grant this year is November 2017. We've started collecting data already, and we'll be collecting data into May. At that time, the SIP grant will provide the data to the grant, and it will be reviewed by the University of Redlands and put into a package as a report to the state. There's no deadline to enter, but we do want to encourage you to get in as soon as possible so you have a good number of walkthroughs to help increase the data sample. The CDE is working on a proposal for continuing this work next year, so keep your fingers crossed that the grant continues. All right, what is Digicoach? Well, there's three parts to it. The first part is it's an informal classroom walkthrough system. So you're going to be able to go into classrooms informally and collect some data really quickly with Digicoach. Second part there in the middle is a formative coaching system. So Digicoach has an email tool built into it. And what's really unique is it has strategies and coaching tips that help you create that email. So we've got specific strategies and coaching tips tied into this custom edition that we built that we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. Lastly, all that data goes into the cloud for reporting purposes, and that's going to help inform the SIP grant. Like I mentioned a moment ago, that data is going to be kind of compiled and looked at and said, okay, hey, these are the things that work and supported schools and classrooms. Digicoach is a mobile-first walkthrough system. What I mean by that is you will need either a phone or tablet by Apple or Android. So that's an iPad or a Samsung Galaxy, one of those types of devices to do Digicoach, or an iPhone or an LG phone, Android, any type of phone like that. Digicoach also works on Amazon Kindle Fire tablets. So if you're looking for an inexpensive device, one of those $50 Kindle Fire tablets will work to collect the data. That data then gets uploaded to online, and you're able to look at those reports at digicoach.com. All right, let's talk about the SIP walkthrough. So if you saw the presentation before, you'll notice things have changed. We went back to the drawing board after the pilot phase and pulled some look-fors out of the walkthrough and added some new things and expanded on some things. So we're looking at 5 focus areas. Each column we call a focus area: learning environment, behavior interventions, engagement, representation, and action and expression. And then each of those areas has 4 look-fors. So room environment, explicit instructions, relationships, rigor. Those are all look-fors when I go into the classroom I'm looking for in the learning environment area. You'll notice there's kind of a blue quadrant there in the upper right-hand corner. Those are the UDL look-fors, pulled right out of the UDL guidelines. So we went ahead and got permission from CAST and included those in there and expanded. If you saw the walkthrough format that was initially rolled out, those were just 3 individual look-fors, and we thought, you know what, this is a big focus. We did the UDL workshop on it, the PowerPoint, which is linked to watch through the Padlet. If you haven't seen that yet, I do recommend checking that out. So this is the new walkthrough criteria. I'll show you what it looks like in the app in just a moment. First, I want to talk about some of the expectations. So most of our districts have already identified up to 5 schools that they're going to use Digicoach at. And recall that this is preschool through 3rd grade in inclusive classrooms. So we're asking you to identify a handful of teachers, preschool through 3rd grade, again, inclusive classrooms, not just your pure special ed classes. And in those classes that you identify, we're asking that you conduct 2 10-minute walkthroughs every month. So if you've identified 4 teachers, that would be 8 walks monthly, about an hour and 20 minutes of your time to do those walks. We are collecting data on as many look-fors as possible when you're in the classroom. So during those 10 minutes, we want you to try to find as many of those 20 areas as you can. You may not find things and you can leave them as skipped, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We also want you to use the feedback system and send those strategies and coaching tips. One really cool thing about Digicoach is it aggregates all of that information. And so we'll be able to see what are the strategies that were most praised out there, what are the coaching tips that were most often given, and then we can kind of adapt that. And hopefully if the grant project extends to year 2, we can learn and expand on some of those things. All right, let me jump out of the PowerPoint here and into my iPad. All right, so I've got my iPad connected here, and I'm going to start a new walkthrough. So I'm going to tap the new walk button up top there, the green one. And the first thing I'll need to do is select my teacher, grade, and subject. Now, if you haven't added your teachers yet, you'll need to do that at digicoach.com. You'll log in as a principal or a vice principal or a district user and add your teachers. Feel free to reach out to us. I won't cover that today because I want to keep this short. So feel free to reach out if you need support adding your teachers, or check out our website. We do have a video that shows how to do that. All right, I'm going to select my teacher. So we're going to go into Jeanette's classroom, and Jeanette is doing English Language Arts, and she's got a 2nd grade group. So I've selected the subject that I'm going into, the grade level that I'm going into, and I'm going to now hit Start Walkthrough. You can see we have the SIP edition lined up here. It is on a Likert scale, looking at things from not evident to emerging, evident, or exemplar. Your target, your goal, so to speak, that we want to see things happening in the classroom is that evident level. And you can see some of the areas have a little evident pop-up. You can see under your room environment here, we've given it an extra description. So when you go in, you're looking for the classroom to include intentionally designed spaces for collaborative and individual learning activities. And if I tap that blue evident link, it pops up and gives me an example of what that might look like. There's clearly defined spaces, student desks and workspaces are connected to allow for collaboration, etc. I'll click OK to close that window, and I saw that happening at a level of evident, so I would tap that there. We're looking for those explicit instructions happening. I might mark that as emerging. Relationships were really good. They were hitting out of the park. I'll mark that as exemplar. And rigor, there was a rigorousness to this lesson today, so I'll tap evident there. I can just navigate by swiping my finger left and right on the iPad, similar to how it is on the phone. I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. Or I can use these links across the bottom. So if I wanted to jump over to the representation, I can tap that and it'll take me right to that page, and I can start recording. You'll notice there's a little asterisk at the end of some of these. I'll show you what that is. If you pop that up, it's just kind of a little citation. CAST asks us to cite that we've included those UDL guidelines right into Digicoach. All right. Now it's time to give me some feedback. So I'm going to tap this green feedback button, and that's going to load up the walkthrough tool, or the feedback tool rather, excuse me. So this is where those strategies and coaching tips exist. So up top you can see we have strategies selected because it's orange, and I can go into learning environment, for example, and I can see the level that I marked things. So relationships, I marked it as exemplar, so that's a level 3. Explicit instructions, we said emerging, so that was a 1. So I'm going to give some praise on the relationships. I'll tap that, and what that's done now is narrow this field of feedback to just those tied specifically to the relationships to look for. When I was in the classroom, I saw community circles, so I can tap on that, and it gives me a pop-up of the full strategy. If it's something that I saw happening and I want to reinforce that with the teacher, I just click Insert, and you can see it got added down to my email below here. We usually recommend using a couple strategies and one coaching tip. Reinforce a few good things, and then send one coaching tip that the teacher might work on. For the sake of time, I'll jump over to coaching tips here, and I will look at something else. We said, let's say comprehension. I'll go in there, and I can scroll through again, and maybe I can choose the highlight patterns. So I'll tap that to highlight important information, provide explicit cues or graphics to assist students in focusing on what features that matter most while avoiding those that matter least. I click Insert, and you can see it got added down into my email below. Now this is a regular email. I can tap into that text box, and I can customize these statements, or I can use speech to text and modify, give some little bit more personalized feedback, and then complete my walk. When I'm done, I have a couple steps. I'm going to hit the complete button in the bottom right corner and say OK. This is going to save it back to my dashboard. One really cool thing about Digicoach is you do not have to be connected to the internet when you're doing a walkthrough. That means if you have any areas with bad reception or no Wi-Fi, not to worry, you can go do a walk, you're not going to lose any data. Come back to your office or an area with service, and then you just have to do that last step of hitting the orange sync and send button up top. You want all your walkthroughs to say sent, like it shows over here. This top one here, since it's ready to send, that's letting me know it's on my device still, and I have the option to edit it by clicking this edit button. I can also delete it here, and I can tell that an email is going to go off to Jeanette here on this one because this email icon's there. These two that have no email icon, that's indicating that no email was sent to those teachers. If for some reason I need to put a walkthrough on hold, I just tap the button on the right side and it's a little toggle switch. You just tap it to change it to hold or tap again and it'll set it back to send. I'm going to do my last step, tap the sync and send button up top. That walkthrough is going to get uploaded to the cloud and that teacher is going to get that feedback and that data is going to go to digicoach.com. Okay, I've got my phone connected now and we're going to go ahead and do a new walk. So I'm going to tap again the green new walk button up top and that's going to put us into the walkthrough starting screen. I'm going to select the teacher again and the grade, this time, or the subject again. So this time we walked into a math class and maybe it was first grade. I'll tap done. And now I'm going to tap that green start walkthrough button. Just like on the iPad, we're able to see our different look-fors. I'll just need to swipe up and down and left and right. Up and down within each focus area and left and right to navigate to the different different focus areas. Excuse me. So really quickly, you'll be able to go in and tap and see these things happening in your classroom. When you're ready to give feedback, you want to hit that feedback button in the very bottom middle of the screen, and that's going to load up our email tool. And just like on the iPad, we have the ability to use those strategies and coaching tips. You can see the links down below here. So to give some praise, I'll tap that strategies button, and I'm going to filter up in the top right corner to a specific look for. Again, you can see the little numbers reminding me of what we saw each area at. Room environment, we saw at a level of exemplar, so I'll tap into there, and I can scroll through and choose one of these statements to coach this teacher. Click insert, it gets added in. I'll hit the back button in the top left corner, and you can see it got added into our email. When I'm ready to complete my walk, I just hit the complete button in the bottom right corner, say OK, and then that last step will be to hit the sync and send. If I want to review that walkthrough, I can do that in my Walk section. You can see I've got 2 walks here with Bonnie that haven't been sent yet. I can slide over to actually edit or delete one. So if I need to go back in and modify it, I can tap that edit button there, and that'll take me right back into that walk. If I want to cancel my changes, I just hit discard up top, or if I'm done with my changes, I hit complete at the bottom and resave. Again, that last step, sync and send, I'll tap that now. Those walkthroughs are being delivered to the teachers, and the data's been added to the cloud. I won't go into the reports today for the sake of time, but know that you would be able to access those either right through your app at this gray reports button or at digicoach.com, just hit the login button in the top right corner. A number of districts have restricted access to the reports for the users and only allowed walkthrough data collection at this time. So if you go to visit digicoach.com and you're unable to visit to see reports, let me know and I can confirm and clarify any questions you may have. I hope this video was helpful. Please give me a call or email me if you need any additional support. We are here to help and want to make sure you have a successful implementation at Digicoach.